Now, in your new book, I Remember Me, it's full of stories from your remarkable life. And you grew up in the Bronx, where your father was also a very talented man. So tell us about him.
My father was, my father was 5'3".
Wow.
And my mother was 5'2", and I said, "Pa, where do I get my height from?" He says, "Well, you know, forebears, you know, genetics. He's your grandfather. You're my father." I said, "How tall was he?" "That's where you get it from, 5'6". But my father was an extraordinary man. He was an inventor. He invented a lot of things. One is the battery clock. He got a lot of patents. But one of the things he invented was, there's a picture in the book of him playing the violin. I called it Irving Shoots Irving Playing Irving. Oh. He taught himself to play the violin when he was very young. He taught himself to play the flute, clarinet. He played them. He got books to learn to do things. One story in there, I was 13 years old, sitting on the bench. He worked in the house, so I saw him every day of my life. And I was reading the paper, and he says, I hear him, he was one of these stoics. He never went ouch or anything. I heard him go, tisk, tisk. I looked up, and he's holding look at that. I said, "What is that?" He says, "That's a filling from this tooth. It's been in there for 35 years.
Wow.
I says, "How do you know how long a filling's been in your tooth?" "This one I put in myself."
Wow.
I said, "Papa, how did that?" He says, "It was in Vienna. I was a young watchmaker, 18 years old. I had two bad teeth. I went to the dentist. He filled one. It was gruesome. He said, I never was so pained in my life." I said, "That's it." He went to the library, found out how to make facets, got a book on dentistry, got a book on amalgams, how to make silver and mercury into a filling. He says, "I have drills." I drilled. He says, "When it hurt, I stopped." He says, and it took me a little longer. He says, "But 35 years, not bad."
Wow. That's ingenious. That's ingenious.
That's a do-it-yourself kind of guy.
Yeah.
I am never going to think I'm tough again. Wow. So you and Estelle have 3 children, Lucas, Annie, and Rob, who we know is a director in shows like All in the Family.
Right.
How old was Rob when he became interested in the business?
Rob, my wife told me that she told me this story. He was about 5 or 6 years old. He's just taking a shower, and he combed his hair. He had a beautiful head of hair. You never know it now. And he said my wife said, he said to his mother, he said, I think I'd like to be an actor. "You think I could be an actor?" She said, "You can be anything you want, Rob." He said, "But if I was an actor, I would want to change my name." And she thought, "Oh, he'd also want to trade nepotism. That's very sweet. What would you like to change it to?" She said, "Carl."
Oh, that's so sweet, too. That's sweet. That's so sweet. Your beloved late wife, Estelle, was also a talented singer. And her last album was called Estelle Reiner Sings Grown-Up Songs for Kids. And it's a very special album to you. So tell us why.
Well, by the way, those are all my grandchildren's
babies. My gosh.
She got the idea, this is her last album that she made. She got the idea that the kids will never know these old, wonderful, wonderful old songs. And so she had them orchestrated for children. And I dare you not to, it'll melt the hardest of hearts. And my wife has been gone about 4 years, but she's never gone. And I say this to people, the people you love deeply will never leave you, will never leave because they're with you. They're alive because you're alive. So she's in my car with me, in my car radio. Every time I drive, I'm listening to Estelle. She did 6 albums, 172 songs. And I can listen on a loop, but there's one particular song, when the Red, Red Robin comes bobbing along. When that hits, I keep it there and play it a few times because she had a Bronx accent. And we went to recording the songs. I said, "Honey, you got to keep that Bronx accent in tow," because there's one song, when you're walking through a field. She says, and when you got to the word walking, she said, "Walking," when you're walking. And I keep playing it, and I laugh every time I hear it. The second time.
And can I just say this one? And she will live on for many of us forever because she has one of the greatest lines in film history when Harry Met Sally, during that orgasm scene. After the orgasm, she's sitting in the diner. She goes, "I'll have what she's having."